Welcome to the Snapshots of History channel. These are not just snapshots, they are frozen moments of history. Stick with us until the end. We promise, it's a journey through time you won't regret. This is Jack Earl, the Texas giant, standing just under 8 feet tall. In the 1930s, he toured with the Ringling Brothers Circus and even acted in silent films. Later, he became America's tallest traveling salesman, cruising the country in a car modified just for him. But behind the towering frame was a gentle soul. He wrote poetry, sculpted, and longed for peace and quiet. This is Mata Hari, the infamous dancer, courtesan, and double agent. In this early 20th century photo, she strikes a pose as an exotic Eastern seductress, a role that made her a sensation in Paris. But behind the stage name was Margaretha Zell from the Netherlands, whose life ended tragically, executed for espionage in 1917. Whether she was truly a spy is still debated to this day. Yes, you're seeing that right. A man is balancing a motorcycle and rider on his chest, all with a calm expression. This photo was taken in London in 1935, when street strongmen were real celebrities. This stunt was all about strength and perfect balance. And the bike? It's a BSA, a popular British brand of the era. This lady looks like she stepped out of an early 1900s fashion magazine. The high collar, cinched waist, lace, and ruffles are pure Edwardian elegance. That feathered hat? A milliner's masterpiece. And the fan in her hand adds a touch of poised mystery. Back then, femininity wasn't just style, it was a kind of crown. This photo captures a striking contrast of eras. The sleek Union Pacific M10,000 Streamliner, a symbol of 1930s progress, facing indigenous people in traditional dress. Likely taken during a publicity tour across the US, the scene says more than it shows. For some, that train meant the future. For others, it was a steel reminder of a world slipping away. Here we have a bathing suit contest in the US, likely from the 1920s. The women sport the era's beach fashion, short dresses, bathing caps, parasols, and of course, stockings. The third from the left holds the main trophy. It reads, Bathing Beach Winner. This was when the beach became a runway, and women's fashion marked a cultural shift. And check out the boys in the background, clearly enjoying the show too. At first glance, it looks like a science experiment, but this was a beauty salon in the 1920s. The woman is getting an early electric perm, using a contraption that looks more like a torture device. These machines were hot, loud, and even risky. But for a stylish wave, women braved it all. And the little dog on her lap? Probably the only one in the room unsure this was a good idea. At first glance, this could be a scene from an epic about the Roman Navy. But take a closer look at the man in waiters, holding a spoon. This is behind the scenes. Likely a film set for a grand historical production, with ancient ships and dramatic skies as the backdrop for a quick lunch break. Shots like this remind us that even epic cinema is built one simple moment at a time. This eccentric 1920s photo shows an artist painting directly on a model's back, her skin becoming a living canvas. Such scenes were common in the Jazz Age, part playful, part provocative. Take a look at the background. The caricature of an African-American figure reflects the racial stereotypes still prevalent in pop culture then. It's a lively, cheeky moment, but one that also speaks volumes about the era it came from. London, 1977. Bob Marley walks alongside lawyers and reporters on his way to court, charged with marijuana possession. Dressed in his coat and signature knit cap, he appears calm and composed. This isn't a concert or interview. It's a moment when a cultural icon faces the system, and yet he remains unmistakably himself, a symbol of defiance and quiet strength. This studio portrait dates to the late 19th or early 20th century. The women wear traditional Russian attire, kokoshnik headdresses, embroidered dresses, and layers of beads. These were likely costumes for a holiday, masquerade, or stage performance. Not everyday clothing. One woman holds playing cards suggesting the role of a fortune teller. Photos like this were popular in salons, a blend of fashion, folklore, and a touch of theatrical mystery. Here we see performers of gagaku, the oldest surviving court music tradition in Japan, dating back to the 7th century. The musicians play instruments like the ryuteki flute and taiko drum, dressed in ceremonial Heian-era robes. This photo was likely taken at Itsukushima Shrine, where such performances still take place today. This photo captures Arnold Schwarzenegger at the 1977 Cannes Film Festival, where he was promoting the documentary Pumping Iron. Taken on May 19, 1977, the image shows him surrounded by women in Victorian-style dresses, creating a striking contrast between his muscular physique and the elegant attire of the ladies. This is Berlin, 1913. Tsar Nicholas II and King George V, first cousins, are walking side by side in German uniforms, smiling with Kaiser Wilhelm II nearby. Three royal cousins, rulers of empires, gathered for a peaceful occasion, the Kaiser's daughter's wedding. And yet, within a year, their nations would be at war. The last stroll before the storm. Here we see two performers of Chinese opera in full costume, likely from the early 20th century. Embroidered dragons, elaborate headdresses with feathers and jade beads, all in line with the strict codes of Peking opera. Interestingly, many female roles were traditionally played by men. These aren't just costumes, they're visual cues the audience understood instantly. This is Queen Victoria, the woman whose name defined an era. In this portrait, she's already a widow, dressed in black for Prince Albert, yet still ruling with iron resolve. Under her reign, the British Empire reached its peak, becoming the largest in history. She was also the grandmother of Europe, with nearly every royal house tied to her bloodline. This is Vladimir Mayakovsky, the enfant terrible of Russian poetry. That intense stare, it matches the raw force of his verse, loud, bold, revolutionary. More than a poet, he was a voice of a new era, a futurist, a firebrand, and a disillusioned romantic. He died by suicide at 36, just as he lived, abruptly and with impact. This photo shows a British official in a palanquin, carried by 4 Indian bearers. Taken in Delhi in the late 19th century during British rule, such scenes were common. The palanquin represented the status and comfort of Europeans, made possible by the hard labor of local people, a stark illustration of the colonial hierarchy of the era. This striking formation shows 650 soldiers forming the shape of a horse's head, taken around 1918 at Camp Cody, New Mexico. It was part of the U.S. Army's Remount Depot No. 326, which trained cavalry horses. The formation represents the Devil's Saddle Horse, a unit symbol, captured by Arthur Mole, known for turning troops into patriotic living pictures. We are looking at a sophisticated audience in 1910 at Ascot. Ladies in lace dresses and fancy hats, with umbrellas in front of them. Every detail emphasizes status. A man with a well-groomed mustache and a cannotier looks like he's stepped out of a vintage postcard. In that era, attire was more than just clothing. It spoke volumes about your place in society. Meet the Noe family of Andersonville, Tennessee, captured by social reform legend Lewis Hine in October 1933. Dad Hugh stands firm in his broad-brim hat, but the kids' bare feet tell you cash was scarce and shoes were saved for church. Within months, the brand-new Norris Dam would flood their farm and erase this porch forever. One shutter click, and Hines sealed a whole way of life the TVA was about to wash away. Amiens, France, March 28, 1918. An elderly woman who fled the war zone with her cow sits quietly on a bench in a city scarred by conflict. Around her, soldiers, automobiles, and the haunting blend of war and everyday life. This isn't just a photograph, it's resilience captured on film. Even amid the chaos of World War I, she holds the rope and meets the camera with quiet dignity. This photo was taken in the mid-1940s at an American school where teens were learning the basics of aerodynamics. In front of them is a wooden flight simulator, a model aircraft, and a mock cockpit setup. Programs like this were common during World War II, helping prepare students for military service or future work in aviation. The war effort needed skilled hands. This photo was taken in London during the 1960s. And yes, those are 2 aliens strolling down Regent Street. These costumed figures were part of a promotional parade or television-related event. Sources vary, but such street performances were quite common in post-war Britain. The bobbies, just enjoying the spectacle like everyone else. This rare photo captures a Quetta operation in Mysore, India, around 1970. It was among the last times wild elephants were driven into a specially built stockade using trained elephants and hundreds of men. The method, developed by British officer George Sanderson in the 1870s, was used to capture elephants for royal duties and forestry work. In 1972, the practice was banned under the Wildlife Protection Act. Here we see a studio portrait of a woman from the late 19th or early 20th century, proudly posing with her bicycle while wearing a rational dress. Quite a bold statement back then. This kind of outfit, with a jacket and bloomers instead of a skirt, represented the early push for women's freedom and equality. The bicycle itself became a symbol of women's emancipation. As Susan B. Anthony once said, "I think the bicycle has done more to emancipate women than anything else in the world." Yesterday, these guys danced the corroboree. Today, one of them has changed his spear to a Kodak brownie. Click, and a 1,000-year-old ritual gets into the family album of the world, already through the eyes of those who wear this coloring. A change of roles in a single frame. Culture films itself. What we're looking at here is a classic Parisian cabaret-style pinup from the early 20th century, likely the 1910s or 1920s. The corset, garters, long pearls, and that fabulous feathered headdress weren't just fashion, they were a whole mood. These kinds of portraits were often sold as postcards, and word has it that many WWI soldiers kept them tucked in their pockets. A little reminder of what they were fighting for. Here we see a rare photo of Tsar Nicholas II and his wife Alexandra Fyodorovna on a Kremlin rooftop around 1900. The Moscow skyline is striking, but so is the informal pose. It almost feels like a private stroll. Alexandra, by the way, was a big fan of photography and often arranged photo sessions herself. Little did they know what history had in store for them. This is Coney Island, summer of 1904. Women and children in crisp white dresses lounge under parasols. A snapshot of Edwardian beach style. Men in suits, straw hats, and sand, but no swimsuits in sight. It feels more like a picnic than a beach day. America still moves slow. Jazz, war, and change are just around the corner. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in the story, don't forget to subscribe. New videos every week.